Hello everyone, this is Tim from Arcana. I'm going to be starting our lab series with this video. The goal of this set of videos is to set up a MEVO server from scratch, get zero-touch provisioning working, and then I'll show off some features like PKI AAA, working with templates and variables, setting up different classes, and then maybe some other features as we go along with this. This is the topology we're going to be using for the lab. Today's video is mostly just going to be on the installation of the MEVO server. So we're just going to be looking over on the right side today. The MEVO server is a Windows server, and for my lab environment, it needs the IP address 172.22.2.241. I have some extra notes here. Our environment is going to be using only two routers. We'll use the physical 1111 on my desk as the spoke router, and then I have a virtual CSR 1000V router that's going to double as our STPCA and our DMVPN hub. In a production environment, you're not going to want to do this. You're going to want to have those functionalities on different devices. And then likewise, you probably don't want your MEVO server, and if we put in a PKI AAA server, you're not going to want them on the same immediate network as the inside address of your hub, which I have here. It's all just being shared on that 172.22 network. But I kind of want the lab to be very simple, using as very few components as I can, just because that might be something that you're trying to run in your lab environment. This video is mostly just going to be on the install of the MEVO server, like I mentioned earlier, so if you've already watched our videos on how to do an install, you can probably skip this video. I'm going to jump right in, and most of these series of videos are probably going to be a little bit less formal than our training series. I kind of expect to make mistakes as we go through these, but I'm also hoping that's kind of good for you, because that way, if we run into the same error, you can troubleshoot it through with me. I'm just going to verify on my server that I have the proper IP address, 2.241, so that looks good. Let me open up a web browser and let's see if I have internet access. Can we hit Cisco? We can, perfect. Okay, so let me go to my file share site and log in. And let me grab the newest version of MEVO, which is 8167 for new installations. If you've watched our other training videos, you'll know that there is this file, new installations, and one for upgrades. You'll notice the file size between them is quite different, and that's just because the one with new installations comes bundled with SQL Express. Okay, so that finished downloading, so let me head over to my downloads folder. I'll probably, I'll try not to do as many cuts in this series of videos, but I probably will be doing a lot of fast forwarding. This video in particular might have a lot of cuts in it, just because there's not much point in just staring at the screen while the installer is doing its thing. And then I'm just recording this in my home as well, so any strange random noises, if my cat starts meowing, or if there's a lot of construction going on outside, yard work, etc., I may have to cut the audio here and then. Once it's downloaded, I just extracted it, right-clicked, and ran as administrator. Most of this will just be clicking next to the prompts. You'll want to make sure any antivirus is disabled while you run through the installer. That'll probably get you the best results. MEVO is going to install IIS. It's also going to install SQL. If you want more information on all the stuff MEVO is installing, you probably want to go through our MEVO Whitebelt training series. And as you can see, this can take some time, so do not be surprised if this video randomly starts speeding up and slowing down just based off of how long I need it to be, or want it to be. I don't really have any goal in mind. I'm trying to keep all these videos as short as I can. Okay, so let's install SQL Express. And let me double check. Yes, so if you can, I recommend you install these on separate drives. You can see for my lab environment for SQL Express application, I'm installing that on my E drive. And this will go on the F drive. So these are all appropriately labeled. Now, in a production environment, you might be running a large environment, in which case you might just have a dedicated SQL server. This lab, we're only going to provision my one spoke, so it's not really a big deal. We're just going to use SQL Express locally on the same server that MEVO will be installed to. If you get this message, you can just go ahead and click OK. It's just saying that there's some things that need to be turned off while the installer is running. A lot of those things were installed by MEVO in the first place. Okay, so now we'll just keep clicking next, accept the terms of agreement, and we'll just leave this on the C drive. Here, you can just use the defaults. It's automatically going to try to populate your host name and your FQDN. I'm only going to be reaching this server via an IP address, so I'm okay with using all of these defaults. The install itself is pretty simple. You can just basically click next through all the prompts if you want to. And next one more time. At the end of this, we will need to restart the server. So just something to keep in mind. Hopefully you have the proper permissions to do that. All right, so the installer is completed. So let's go ahead and click finish and restart our server. And then let me drag over a guest browsing window here. So to access our MEVO server, once it is back, it's going to be the IP address, so 22.2.241/MEVO. So we'll just wait for the server to respond. It'll take a little bit for the VM to finish rebooting. Okay, so we can pass through the warning. Looks like it's still a little bit slow to come back to us. Perfect. So our application's installed, and let me just make sure I can log in. Okay, perfect. Our MEVO is installed, so we can now begin configuring our server. I know this is just a lab environment, but as always, if you have any questions, please just reach out to us, and I'll see you in the next video.